All right, what's up, everybody? How are we all doing? Welcome to the live stream. Happy New Year, brand new year, yeah. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you very much for joining. I would like to know where you're joining from in the chats. Just let me know down in the chats where you're joining from. I would like to know. So we're gonna hang out today. It's an Ask Me Anything session today, and also we're gonna be going through how to animate in PowerPoint in a little bit. But first of all, before we get to the tutorial, I'd like to see how everybody's doing, where you're joining in from, and just seeing what kind of questions you have for me first. So we're gonna start with the Ask Me Anything. So just tell me what questions you have for me. I'm gonna go ahead, answer a few questions in the chat, and we're gonna go ahead and start with the tutorial for today and the class for today. So I see someone from Mumbai. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. Let's see who else. Okay, somebody's joining from Connecticut. That's great. Good to have you. Good to have you here. Thank you very much. Florida, USA. I see you. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I see someone from all the way from Qatar. Wow. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you. Let's see what else we got in the chat. We got somebody from Virginia. Thank you, Virginia. Virginia, not too far from where I live. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let's see. Who else do we got on the chat? So let's see. We got someone from Virginia. We got someone all the way from Nigeria. Welcome from Nigeria. You are welcome to the live stream. Let's see if we can get these names up here. Just give me a second. Let me see if I can put this up. There we go. We got someone from Nigeria. You're welcome. Daniel from Nigeria. We got Rox from Virginia. You're welcome. We got Penty. I don't know if I pronounced that right, but from Qatar. Welcome, 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 welcome. We got Dana from Houston, Texas. And then we got somebody who's called Google Loves Channel. Well, that's a very interesting channel name, but welcome from India. We got somebody from Mozambique. You're welcome. I do not know how to pronounce your name, but it's right there up on the screen. Thank you so much for joining. You're welcome. It's really good to have you guys all here, and I'm glad to be hanging out with you today. Hopefully you're having a great day, and if you're not having a great day, hopefully by the end of this stream, your day will be feeling a little bit better because you would have learned something new. So hopefully that happens. Somebody says, thank you for this tutorial. You're welcome. We haven't done it yet, but you're welcome in advance. Hopefully it will be good. So let's see. So that is it with the chats. I'm gonna hold that here. We're gonna do a little bit more shout outs in between the tutorial. So welcome, welcome, welcome. If you have any questions for me, do let me know down in the comment chats. And if you're watching this live stream later on, I'm gonna break this into chapters so you can go and follow along with the tutorial and also follow along with some of the things that we will be doing here today. So this is going to be a class on animating, creating animations with PowerPoint. And how is the live class going to be a little bit different from the videos you watch? So number one, it's going to be much slower pace because when we do these videos for YouTube, you have to sort of look at retention rate. You got to cut them down short. So that's why some of the videos might seem a little bit fast paced. It's just because of the YouTube algorithm. So this one is going to be a little bit slow paced. It's a live class. So I'm going to take my time. You're going to see me do everything step by step the way I would do it when I am building or working on something. And then also the best thing with this is that you get to ask me questions on the chat. So if there's something you didn't understand, you can just let me know down in the chat. I'll be going back and forth in the chat every now and then to check the questions. And then I'm going to go on there to answer your questions. Like I said, in the description, this is also an Ask Me Anything. So even if you have questions from some of my other videos that I've done in the past that you would like me to answer, just let me know down in the comments, and I'll be going through the comments every now and then, and we'll get to answer those questions, and hopefully I can answer some of your questions. So today we will be going through the video that I did. So I did a video about how I got my new Tesla, and it was just telling the story of how somebody stole my car, my previous car, at a gas station. So it was an animated video. If you haven't watched that, I'm going to dump a link for that video in the description. Oh, it's actually already in the description of this live stream. So click on that. You can watch it. Well, not now, later on after the live stream. You can watch that. nice video. So you can watch that. That's what we'll be going through today. So a lot of people were asking me how I created that video and the tutorial for that. So that's what we'll be doing. I'll walk you through all the steps that I took to create that particular video, and you see my process. So again, this stream is just for 1 hour, so I can't go through everything. It took me a whole lot more than 1 hour to create that, but hopefully I'm gonna jump through several scenes, and it gives you a general idea. If there is any like specific scene you would want me to touch on specifically, like if you had like a scene that you liked more, let me know in the comments, and I'll make sure to jump to that. But otherwise, I'm just gonna start from the top, and then we're gonna flow all the way. So let me go back to the chat and let's see what's going on in the chat. So, all right. So let me just go back to the chat, do a little bit of my shout outs. So we have somebody says this is started to. I've started getting interested. Oh, let me just put this up so everybody sees it. So I've started getting interested in animation through your videos. Thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. We got BJ from Nigeria. Welcome. I don't have a computer, but one day you'll get one. Hopefully one day. Maybe I'm gonna do a computer giveaway in the channel. Let's reach 100,000, right? And let's see. Maybe I do give away a computer. I don't know where you're from, but let's see. So help me reach 100,000 subscribers, and we'll see what that giveaway is gonna be. All right. All right. Before I forget, if you would like YouTube to recommend these videos for others to watch, just give it a thumbs up. Let's give it a like so that other people can join and enjoy the tutorial as you are gonna enjoy today. So if you're joining the stream today, let's give it a like. Let's give it a like so that YouTube can recommend that. All right. Thank you very much. So I'm gonna go ahead and we are gonna start right with the tutorial. So I don't see any questions. So I'm gonna go straight to it. So let's go. All right, you should be seeing my screen right now. I have PowerPoint open on here, and my process that I take when I'm doing these animations is I always start with a script. So the script is always your boiling point. You want to make sure you have a script, and you want to make sure that your script is telling a story in a story way. So even when I do this for projects for people, and they send me like what they want it to be, I normally start by just rewriting the script just to make sure it flows in a story way. And then once I do that, I break my scripts into scenes. So I'll say, and I'm calling the scenes, pretty much every scene would be one slide. So I want to figure out how am I telling this story and how many slides would I need. And then I'll typically come back to PowerPoint and create slides. So this would be sort of like say I'll call this like my scene one, and I'll break them down that way. And for example, in that video that I did, scene one was the car scene. So I was telling the story of how what happened in the beginning of the day. So I wanted this kind of scene that showed me driving in the car. It was a summer day, so I wanted it to be like have mountains, bright. So it's gonna be like driving in my car. So that's gonna be the first scene there. So I'm gonna put it out there. So I'll just keep it at that. And sometimes when I have the full script, like whatever was read as the voiceover, I would use my notes section here to just dump that to see, okay, this is the text that is going on this scene, and that kind of helps me to gauge what direction I want that particular scene to go. So of course, after I've done this, I build out all my scenes. Again, this could go till infinite, like 12, I don't know, 20 scenes or whatever you have you. So now I need to start then getting assets to use to build this out. Again, I'm always a fan of Freepik. I've always talked about Freepik. This is where I get all my assets. I am not affiliated with them yet, but I love this tool because it's really a great tool. Even if you can draw, you know how to draw, you know how to animate, but they already have, I mean, it's going to take you what, maybe a day or so to get up to put up these assets, but they already have this. So like, why do that? You can always download that and customize them for yourself. So, but before I actually do, so that driving scene, I got that from here. I can put the links to this in the description or in the chats if you guys are interested. Before I get to that, in my previous video, the one that we did, how to animate with PowerPoint, where we had Ben, famous Ben, there was one other way to convert these things to a way that PowerPoint can understand that I didn't talk about in that video, because sometimes it works a little bit finicky. So that's why I didn't put it there. But when I started seeing comments of people like struggling with Illustrator or struggling with Inkscape, I was like, I should have put that on there. So In this live training, I'll show you another way. So I showed you Inkscape to ungroup this. I showed you Illustrator. Illustrator is what I use. It's what we're going to be using in this tutorial. It's the easiest for me. But there's one more way to do this. It's free. There is a website called Cloud. Let me just zoom this in here. So just patch that in here. So it's called Cloud Convert right there. So cloudconvert.com. And I'm gonna dump that right here on the chat. So cloudconvert.com also helps you. Sorry, I'm just dumping that right here on the chat. So CloudConvert helps you to dump, to ungroup your files, and I'm showing you how that works in a second. So let's say, for example, I wanted to use this character right here. I'll just refresh this. I had this open. All right, so let's say I wanted to refresh this character that I have right here. Sorry, I wanted to ungroup that, so I'll download this. And typically from my previous tutorials, I told you guys that we would typically open this using Inkscape or Adobe Illustrator. Actually, I'm gonna just go ahead and actually do that, so that just to give you a refresh in case you've not watched that video, how to animate with PowerPoint. I do advise you to check it out. It's a great starting point to show you some of these tips that we're talking about today. So I've opened this on Adobe Illustrator right here. And what this does is that it lets me, I could click on this and it lets me copy this. So I could copy this, control copy. So let's say I wanted just this guy. I see he's grouped here, so I'm just gonna ungroup him. So I could copy him and oops, I missed out his coffee there. So we don't want you to go out without your coffee, get all cranky. All right, so I could copy him and paste him in here, and I have an individual character that I could use in PowerPoint to mess around and to animate him individually, and I can do that for all the other components that we have in this. So that was what I showed you in that other video. But if you don't have Illustrator, or Inkscape is not working for you, so you could come up to this website and then select the file. So this file that we just downloaded here is going to be the ESP version. So you could select it. So if I zoom right here, you see right here we have, this is the file. So you're going to just click on convert right here, and we'll give it a second. It's going to process, and it's going to convert this to something called a CVG. And PowerPoint would actually open CVG files. So that's the great thing. So I have downloaded that on my computer, so I'm gonna go back to PowerPoint. So let's create a new slide right here, and if I can find where this is, give me 1 second. Let's go back here, CVG file. Okay, there we go. So if I drag this and drop it into PowerPoint, just delete this here. This is a CVG file. It looks like an image, but here's what happens. The cool thing is if I right click and go to group, ungroup, yes. So it now lets me actually ungroup these into, I gotta do it one more time. Just give me a second. Sometimes they're grouped into multiple layers. So now I have all these individual components have been ungrouped. So everything here, if I select this guy like slightly carefully here, there you go. I now have him as a single character, and I can right click and regroup him back as an individual character. So it gets him all the single layers. So it can get a little bit messy and confusing. So you gotta want to be careful with this. This is why I didn't really show this in that very first video, because sometimes it's not the easiest way to do it. But again, if you're having issues with Inkscape, Illustrator not working for you, then definitely this is something you could do. So just carefully select that and then right click and group, and there you go. So now you have this again as another individual character that you could use. Oops, I guess I did not select all of that. So you have this as an individual character that you could then take and start animating with. So that is another way to do this apart from using Illustrator. But like I said, we will be using Adobe Illustrator for this particular tutorial here. So let's go ahead. I have my car, the cars that I just downloaded. So I'm just gonna go ahead and copy them here. Sorry, open them up. So I'm gonna open it on Adobe Illustrator. So these were the cars, and the very one that I used to illustrate. My car didn't look like this, by the way. I just, didn't want to cartoonize the car. I didn't even have a picture of it, so I just thought I would use this one. It worked anyways. So what I did in that particular video was I copied the car, just Control C is what I'm just doing right now, and then Control V to paste it right here. So that gets me this sort of a car scene. And before I actually go ahead and scale it, again, for the backgrounds that I used for it, I got that again from freepik.com. But since I already sort of have it here, I already have it downloaded, so I'm just going to copy it and paste it on here. So we have that. So I'll just right click and send that to the back. Oh, sorry, I'll move that out. So right click, send that to the back. There we go. So this helps me with sort of scaling. And what I did was, we'll get to that in a second. Just rearrange it here and then zoom in a little bit. And to zoom in, I'm holding Control on my keyboard and then I'm scrolling my mouse wheel. So this is what I'm using for the quick zoom. Of course, you can always zoom again in PowerPoint. If you go right here to the bottom, there's also this little wheel that you could use to zoom in. If you don't know that, I mean, everybody should know that, but if you don't know that, that's one way to do it. But what I'm using right now is my mouse wheel. I just hold the Control button. I'm using my mouse wheel to scroll back and forth. So that is what I'm using to do that. So this helps me with scaling. So now I can scale this and I see sort of, you know, a reasonable size to the road. Probably gonna make it a little bit big. Yeah, I'll work with this. This is fine. So let's just adjust this a little bit. So the next thing I did was I wanted to make the wheels turnable. So if you watch that video, in that initial scene, the wheels was spinning. So what I did for that was I went back here and I ungrouped this and picked just, do that one more time. So now this let me pick just the wheel. So now I can copy the wheel and go back to PowerPoint. I'll scale this right here. If you click really on a little bit on the corner, I'll scale this right here and match. So I left the original wheel on there just to use as a reference, because that way I could scale it to match properly. Actually, I'm going to delete this other one. So we have, excuse me, that we have two wheels right now. We get that and then we get this. So what I did to make the wheel spin, it's a little trick and it has to do with using motion emphasis. So remember we talked about the different animations that you could do, different ways for animating in PowerPoint that I talked about in that original video. So if you go to the animation tab, you have your, you could do the fly-ins, the likes of the fly-ins. You could do the fly-ins. You could do your exit animation to exit it out. Oops, sorry, did that go out? So let me go to my animation pane here. If I play that, oh, sorry, that was a fly out. Okay. Most people know these, but additional things that you could do that most people might not use in a lot of animation is this sort of emphasis. So when your object, or let's call it object or image or whatever it is already in the scene, you could do some animation emphasis that, you know, make it do things within the scene. So in this case, I use the spin. So you see that spin sort of like turns it in a 360 circle. And what you could potentially do again is double click on that. So let me just show you that one more time what I did. So I double clicked on that right here. Just double click on it. That opens your option tab, or you could also right click and go to effect options. And that is going to open this option tab that we have right here. And so what I'm doing right here now is that I went to animation timing. And then there's a little bar here that says repeat. I'm just gonna move this to the corner and zoom in so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, there we go. So there's a little bar that says repeat, and you could say repeat until like the end of the slide. So this would constantly, I mean, if you're using this in a slide where you're doing a presentation, the wheel is gonna constantly keep spinning, and then it looks like the car is moving. So the next thing I did is just to copy this and paste it, and to put it up here in the corner. So if I go back to my, oops, sorry, I'm going to redo that again. I just discovered that my screen wasn't full. So I copy this using Control C, Control V, and I put it up in the corner right here. So now we have two wheels. Scale that properly. So the next thing I'm gonna do is, if I play this back, let's play this back to see what this looks like. Sorry, I am gonna go back here, and on this one right here, where you have the option, it's saying on click, I'm gonna make it start with previous. And then now when we go back and play this, the both wheels should be spinning relatively. All right, so that is great. So I'm gonna go ahead and delete scene 1 here. Okay, oops, delete that. So that's great. In my actual car scene, I was in the car itself. And so what I did was I took a picture of me holding the wheel, and I used my Photoshop pop art effect. If you haven't seen that yet, let me just pull that up real quick. So just give me a second. I'll just put that up here. So I'm gonna pull the Photoshop pop art effect, and that is also in my so I have a tutorial where I did talking about how to create cartoonized version of yourself using Character Animator. So if you haven't watched that tutorial yet, in that tutorial I do talk about a pop art effect that lets you use Photoshop, and it's an action, and that cartoonizes yourself. So let me just drag that in here. So this pop art effect is what I'm talking about. So I'm gonna grab that and post it also in the chats in case you haven't seen that yet. So I'm gonna post that in the chats. There we go. So that's the link to that. So I am using this effect to cartoonize my picture. So of course I went ahead and did some pre-processing to that to get it to look like what it looks like. So let me just copy that and paste it in. And so that is what that does. Of course, there was a little bit more pre-processing to sort of fix some of the facial expressions and revectorizing that to sort of look more cartoonized, like it looks the way it looks right now. So, but yeah, so that's what I did. You can do that to get a cartoonized version of your picture. So this is just a picture of myself that I took, and I created that. So I'm gonna send this backwards. I'll probably have to do that like 3 times. So I'm just gonna speed that up real quick. There we go. So I'm now behind the wheel. Of course, the scale of that is not right, but I left it that way on purpose because I wanted my face to be seen, and it's a cartoon anyways. Cartoons doesn't always have to be realistic depending on what artistic style that you're going with. So I left it this way. So this has a picture of me in the car. So let's play that back and see what this looks like now. So this is me driving. The next thing we need is for the actual car to move. And for that, I did a little trick, which is I actually didn't move the car itself, but rather I moved the background. So what I did was I went over here on the top to insert. And then I inserted a triangle. It's just, so there's several ways you can do this. I like to do this because it gives me just a frame. So I just inserted a triangle. And I'll just move this aside a little bit. So of course there are rulers, but when you drag the ruler, it will probably just give you one border line that you could use to get the borders. But this is one way to do it, and I chose to do it this way. So I just put a triangle, and you'll see why in a second. You might be wondering like, wait, what? A triangle? What is going on here? But don't worry, in a second you'll see what I mean. So what is I'll just not give it a fill. Oops, sorry. Outline. No fill. And then I'll put an outline right there. All right. Okay. So this just gives me a frame of what I'm working with. So that's all I'm doing. I just needed a frame of what I'm working with. So this is the scope of where the background is. So what then I did, the trick I did was I'll just zoom out right here. What I did was I copied and pasted this and just sort of put it right here. So I did that, and I think I did this like 2 or 3 times, but to save on time, I'll copy the actual one that I had from the actual file and replace it here. But that's what I did. I replicated that like 3, 4, 5 times, and that gave me this super long image that you can see right here. I'm gonna delete this. This is an extra. So I just right click and send this to the back. So I have a super long background image. So all I'm gonna do is now then just simply, the simple trick is just to animate this to move backwards, and then it creates an illusion. It's an illusion that we're doing. So it creates that illusion that the car is moving. So, and to do that, I went again to my animation pane, and then I just added, oh, sorry, this is already on there, so I'm gonna delete that because I copied it from the actual slide itself. So I just went on here and I added a line path. So let me zoom in right here if this helps. No, it still doesn't show it very well, but right here on the bottom, we have a line path, line animation. So you can change the direction. So I'm gonna do that one more time, just in case you missed that. So I clicked on the image and I went right here to add animation, and I just added a line. So it's moving down to the bottom. Of course, that's not what we wanted to do. So I'm gonna go ahead and change the direction, and I want it to move from left to right. So it's moving backwards, and I'm still gonna do something else, which is actually want it to move a whole lot more backwards. So I'm gonna just zoom in right here, again holding Control and using the mouse wheel until I get to this little oops. I have to zoom in a little bit more. There we go. Yeah. You need that to change. So I'm gonna drag that and just move it like a whole lot. A whole lot. So let's play that back and see what that looks like. Oops. And then I always forget to do this. You can click on right here and make sure that it starts with the previous. All right. So never forget that when you do animations like this. So let's play that back, and that sort of gives that illusion that the car is moving. So of course that started right from here, which is why it looks white. So there's a little bit of white background, so that doesn't look too realistic. So why is that? It's because our starting point, so if you look right here, the green is the starting point where this actual animation starts. So you just want to click on that and move it. So just move it to within your slide. Make sure that it's starting from within your slide. And depending on how long you actually want this to be, again, as you move this, you can see where it ends. So I can make it end just right about the beginning of it right there. And then with that, I have to then move the red and make it move all the way to the back. So something like that. Oops. And I think I just moved everything. So I'm going to control zoom out. There we go. Let me undo that for a second. And just spin that around and drag it right here. All right, cool. So let's play that back. Okay, that kind of fixes that. And then, of course, the speed is not realistic. So again, we'll have to fix the speed. You'd go right here to the top corner. You can increase the duration. In my case, I made it go for about 8.5 seconds. Right there. 8.5 seconds is what I used for my duration. And let's play that back. So it's kind of started moving. And let me zoom that in a little bit so that you get a sense of what that then looks like. Sorry. All right, there we go. So when I play that back, when it starts moving, there you go. It's sort of a slow motion, a slow pace moving car. And then you can control the pace. So if you wanted that faster, of course, you reduce the duration. And then obviously also the spin circle, you can also reduce the duration right here on the top to make the wheel spin faster. And this sort of gives you a faster moving car. So this was what I did for that initial intro scene. And if I can get it here, I could grab it and play it for you to see what the final scene is. So one thing that I didn't mention when I was talking about this is that when I do my animation, I know in that original tutorial that we did, I actually did show you how to do this, how to add audio using PowerPoint, just to show you that PowerPoint is a full-fledged software that can do pretty much everything that you want it to do. You can start your animation from start to finish within PowerPoint without having to go out of there. But in my case, when I do these kinds of animations, I actually do not add my audio on PowerPoint, because again, when I'm done with this is the animation software, right? I have to export it and take it to a video editing software to make it into a full-fledged video. And this is not even because we're using PowerPoint. Even if I do animation in any other animation software, I wouldn't do the final product under the animation software. The software just aids you to do your animation. Once you're done with that, if you want to put your scenes together, you want to compile this into a storytelling full-fledged video, then you have to take it to a video editing software sort of to make your timing and things like that. So when I do my animations, I like to add my sound in my editing software, and I edit using Adobe Premiere Pro. So that's what I typically use for my sound. So I would export this, I'll take it to Adobe Premiere Pro, I'll add the sound there, because I also do like some audio processing, which Adobe Premiere Pro lets you do. So let's go ahead and see what that final video looked like. So I'm gonna go ahead and be quiet and just play that right now, and you are gonna see what that.
I just come back from church, I was cruising in my ride, rocking my glasses. Wait, actually there were no glasses, but this looked cool, so I'll let them stay. I was rocking my glasses, cruising in my ride, heading home, when I discovered that, whoa, I was out of gas. So I decided to stop by a near gas station to get some gas.
All right, so that was that was the final product from that scene. Again, that was the steps I took to create that particular scene to get it up there. So I'm gonna pause right here before we move to the next scene, and we're gonna go back and hang out in the chat. Let's see what kind of questions we have going on in the chat. So, all right, so let's see. We have, all right, let's see, are there any other question? Screen to, all right. Okay, great tips. All right, somebody joining in from Nigeria, love from Afghanistan. All right, thank you for joining, thank you for joining. Actually, let me pull this back up here. All right. Okay, so I'm just pausing right here to just see if anybody has questions. And if you have questions, just let me know down in the chat, and I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna take some questions. All right, so let's see. All right, someone is just saying great tips. Thank you for your tutorials. Just joined. Okay, you're welcome. How did I get the scene where I was interviewing myself? What? Did I have a scene in this where I was interviewing myself? I do not remember that scene. Oh, wait a minute. Did you? Oh, okay, I see what you're probably talking about. You're probably talking about the scene, the video scene where I was back and forth interviewing myself, where I was trying to get a car insurance. That was not an animation. So that was just video editing. I mean, I filmed it twice. So I filmed myself on one angle and I filmed myself on another angle. Then in video editing, I was cutting. So I asked the question and I cut to the scene where I was answering the question. All right, so let's see. Somebody's asking, what country am I in? So I am in the US right now. That's where I live. I'm based in the US. All right, somebody's saying right here, big fan. Thank you. So let me go ahead and, oh, okay, I see. Sorry, I wasn't seeing some of these chats. So now I see them fully. All right, so let's go. All right. So someone is saying, can I show my can I show the exported video, my preferred settings? Are you talking about in PowerPoint or in like the video editing software? So that will sort of help me know what to do. So someone says the moving back scene, is that copied and resized? Yes, that is copied and inside and resized. Yep. Okay. So this someone is asking me if I only use PowerPoint. No, I do not only use PowerPoint. I think I mentioned that. I use PowerPoint for the animation, then I moved that to a software like Adobe Premiere Pro to finish the entire edits, because I have recorded video that I normally mix with this. In this case, I had a recorded video that I mixed with that, audio processing and things like that. So that is what I use to do that. And then when I'm doing animations, depending on the scale of the project, of course, and what I am trying to achieve, that determines whether I'm gonna do this in PowerPoint or another software. To be honest, I've found that PowerPoint is very, very easy for doing animations. So I've actually slowly, over time, started moving from even my professional animation softwares to PowerPoint when I want to do something really quick, because it's just I've figured out ways around it to do these things pretty quickly. So I really like using PowerPoint for that. But of course, I use Adobe Character Animator if I'm creating a full-fledged animation where somebody's going to be talking, hands are moving, things like that. Adobe Character Animator will be where I go for that. There are also softwares like Create Studio, which I use for, again, if I wanted more motion. So PowerPoint is good for like static explainer videos. As you can see in that video, there's not much movement. But when I have movement where I want hands to move and expressions, maybe a blink in the eyes, it's then easier to use a software like Create Studio to do something like that as opposed to PowerPoint, because it's going to take a whole lot more time. But when I'm doing like simple motion graphics, simple animations, like what we have here, PowerPoint has always been my way to go. So let's scroll right here. It's a funny question. Somebody's asking if PowerPoint is what I'm using to present, to show myself now. No. I'm using the streaming software. But again, I'm an advocate for PowerPoint, right? It would be cool if I did that in PowerPoint, but no, not really. I'm doing this using the screen software, but PowerPoint actually allows you to do a screen grab. You can do screen recording. So let me move. Let's see. Are there any more questions? Somebody's asking me, am I gonna create a paid training course? That's one of my goals for this year. So it's one of my goals for this year. Hopefully I attain it. I want to create an animation course. One of them is going to be animating in PowerPoint, like a full-fledged course whereby it's slowed down. We have like a whole curriculum where you go through from the basics to like complex. How do you create animations using PowerPoint? So hopefully that comes out. So watch out for that. Hopefully I'm gonna get to create that, but that's one of the goals I have for the year. All right, so let's keep scrolling here. Let's see. This is an interesting question. So there is a software called Descript. So this person is asking, they have problems with their voiceover. This software is ridiculously crazy how realistic it is. So I found out about this sometime. I was doing a video and I needed to do a text to speech, and I was just trying to get like realistic text to speech. I think I'm gonna do a video on this software because I think it pegs very well with, you know, your animations. So it's called Descript, and I'm dumping that in the chats right now. Check that software out. That software is completely insane at how realistic the voiceover are. So I used to do some videos where I did voiceovers, and I used to pay a professional voiceover artist to do that. And I transitioned to this, and I asked, you know, a couple of people who watched that, like, so I did the video. At some point we had the professional voiceover artist doing it, and then when we cut to another scene, we had the software. And I asked people like, can you tell me which was a real person and which was the software? And they couldn't tell the difference. It's that good. And it actually allows you to train your voice. When you train your voice, you can actually make it speak like you. That one is not so good, but I guess with more training, it's gonna get out even better. But check out Descript. Really crazy software, really cool. Try it out. Let's see another question here. Can you add a so let me just put that up here so everybody sees. Can you add a 10-minute audio file to play continuously during multiple slides? Yes, you can, and that's a good question. I'm gonna go ahead and show that. Let's just get a few more questions, and I'll go ahead and show that. Yes, so I export in PowerPoint and export it as an MP4, and I do my final post production in Adobe Premiere Pro. And sometimes when I'm editing this on Premiere Pro, I'll look at some things and tell, okay, like there could have been some effects here, and I'll add some cartoon effects. So I'll tell you a good example. So let me pull up back this video that I did right here. So I'm gonna pull this back up. Let's go back to the screen here. All right. So in this scene, for example, you had all these like little flares. I'm calling them flares. They're like smoke. Sorry. Let's get this. So when I did this scene originally, and okay, I'm just gonna play this a little bit from here. So when I did this scene originally, it didn't have this smoke. It was just the car sort of like speeding away. So when I started watching the back, I was like, it would be good to have a little bit of this smoke and spark. So I added all of those in Premiere Pro. And the good thing is that you do not have to create some of these things from scratch. I use sites like Envato. So when I'm doing quick edits like this, and I thought, okay, that would be good to have a little smoke on here, and I want to add smoke, I go to a site like Envato Elements, and Envato Elements already has these assets. I'm going to dump that again in the chats for those who are interested. So Envato Elements has a lot of these assets where you can download, and I think that smoke I actually got for Envato Elements. I didn't have to like create it from scratch and animate it, so I created that and dumped that in there. I'll put a link to Envato Elements in the chats. You can check that out. So let's see. Somebody was asking how's my birthday. Thank you for asking. It was great. It was great. I had fun. It was an interesting year, different kind of year for me. So I really enjoyed it. All right. Somebody said I'm a PowerPoint king. Thank you. I don't know if I'm a PowerPoint king, but thank you. I just try my best. So what I really do is sometimes when I do these things, like I did the Squid Game video that just came out. So when I was putting up that video, I didn't actually know how to create that in PowerPoint, but I watched a tutorial where somebody was creating this in After Effects, and I looked at it, I was like, it'd be cool if I actually created this using PowerPoint. So then I get to PowerPoint, and then I started to try to like figure out, okay, so how would I make this work? And that tutorial itself, I think, took me about 2 weeks to build out. Again, not 2 weeks working on it every day. It's a creative process where I go back and forth. So I looked at it. So I took a stab the first day, and there would be points where most of it works, and then there are points where like, okay, some of this is not really working, and it's like you're getting to I'm getting these issues. Then I'll put a pause, and then I'll go out to my daily business, and then while I'm like having free time, I'll think about it, like, how else will I try to achieve this? And then I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. I head back to my computer and I try it out, and it works. So eventually, after like 2 weeks, I think on like the second week, there were still some issues where I couldn't really figure out how to get some parts to work cleanly, because I wanted to look very close to the original stuff as possible. So some things would work, some things would like not work very well. Again, that Squid Game intro was all about morphing, so I could technically have done a morph transition from like start to finish, just morph it, but then there would be like an instance of like the circle that was animating and closing up. You couldn't do that with a morph, and PowerPoint doesn't allow you to have like a morph transition and other animations. So that's when I was like, oh, okay, how do I do this? So eventually I got the idea of like exporting some of it as a video and then putting it back in PowerPoint and doing it, and it works like that. So that's how I do most of my PowerPoint sort of like videos and my PowerPoint tricks. I think like, well, it would be cool if I could do this in PowerPoint, and I start playing around with it. So, but thank you for thinking I'm a PowerPoint king. I just play around and experiment with it. Somebody's asking, they want to learn full-time animation. Can I advise them from where to start? Again, I have some beginner tutorials. Again, YouTube is a great place to start if you just want like some tips. So if you check out my channel already, I have some beginner tutorials on where to start. I really advise when you're starting in animation, depending on, I don't know what your skill level is, if you know how to draw or if you don't know how to draw. If you don't know how to draw, again, it's so easy these days. Like if you look at softwares like Character Animator, they make things like this super easy for you to do. You don't really need to know how to draw, and there's sites that even allow you to download lots of assets, and then it's very easy to customize some of these things with the latest skills, and it's skills that you can build over time. I believe learning to draw is something that you can be taught to do, even if you do not know how to draw. It's something you can be taught to do. When I was in school, so I'm a computer science major, but in high school I did some art class, and I was taught how to draw like someone, like take a picture of me and draw it to look like me. That was something I'd never tried. I'd never even known how to do that before that class. But my art teacher showed me some few tricks. You know, you draw your canvas, you divide it into grids, and you do some of the scalings. And I did that, and I started drawing, and she started teaching me like shading techniques, how to shade with a pencil, to add shadows and things like that. And I was like, oh, well, this was something I never thought I could do until I went to that class and I got that training. So learning to draw is something that I believe you can be trained to do. But even if you do not have that skill, check out softwares like Character Animator. It's a really good software. Again, I know it has its price point on it, but I think it's worth it. Sites like Skillshare are good. There are videos, tutorials on there if you want to go on that. But again, YouTube is still my place to go to find tutorials on animation. So I would advise you to stick to YouTube. So somebody says they need a class very fast. I'm trying. It's my goal. So I'm gonna try really to get that course out. What sites do I recommend for free audio clips? I'll have to, so I don't have this at the top of my head. I haven't used a site that for free audio clips in a long time because I use Envato Elements for all of my assets right now. But I do have a couple. I think in my PowerPoint tutorial, the very first one I did, I put a couple of free sites. So I will go on there. You can go on there and check it out, but I'll try go on there and grab it and drop it. But just to keep focused here, I can't do that right away, but I'm going to try to do that. So, but yeah. So let's see. Let's go to the next questions. But there are some free sites, obviously. There are some free sites. I prefer to use Adobe Character. Sorry. I prefer to use Envato Elements because I just feel like $17 a month, and they give you like video assets, PowerPoint templates, sound. They give you a lot of things. So I like to use them for most of my stuff. So let's go to the next question here. Somebody's asking, what advice do you have for someone who loves learning but feels time is limited? You can use Photoshop, AI, and ID. I don't know what ID was. That'll be Adobe. What? I don't know what that is. InDesign maybe. But we'll still have to learn other programs and still have to update. So here's my deal. So funny thing is, a lot of my friends call me let me say like an octopus. I got my hands in many things, and how I've ended up learning how to do a lot of the things that I know how to do today is simply by curiosity. So I do things in time blocks. So I have like time blocks of my life. So let's say today I watch like a Marvel movie and they have this really cool VFX and I'm really fascinated, like, whoa, I would really like to learn how they do this. I'll spend maybe like the next 2-3 weeks just dedicated to that. Just leave everything else, dedicate that, maybe a few days a week. I want to learn how this VFX is done, but I give it my all. I put my all to it. And then within those 2 weeks, I have learned so much that I get reasonably good at it, to the point whereby I'm doing a project and I'm like, oh, I need a VFX. I'm like, oh yeah, I know how to do this. I learned this skill some time back. So that is my approach to it. That's how I do it. Is that I just have these chunks of spaces in my life where I focus on certain things. So that is one way to do it. Again, just get your curiosity. Sometimes it's like 30 minutes a day. It could be just one tutorial, like, right? So just watch one tutorial, 10 minutes, just try it out. And the way I sort of keep myself interested to motivate myself to do this is that I give myself a project to do. Like when I started getting into VFX for the very first time, I really wanted to learn how to completely like use green screen to create a full thing. So I challenged myself to do a music video. It's actually funny. It was for my wife back then. So I did, I think our anniversary or so was coming up. So I said I was gonna like create a full music video. So I wrote a song, I did the song and everything, and I created a full music video using green screen. So just like in my room, it was like a whole 6 minutes. It had like maybe 10 different scenes, and that was what it was. Exciting project to work on, and that motivated me to learn the VFX. And with that, I tailored the VFX skill that I have at the back of my pocket, where every now and then when I need to do VFX, that comes up. So give yourself a project that will motivate you. That's a very good advice that I have for you there. So what is the name of the software that makes you a cartoon? That's, if you're talking about the one I just talked about today, that was just Photoshop. So I have it's Photoshop, and then I have a Photoshop action. I'd advise to check out my video, how to create a cartoon character of yourself. I believe that was the title of that video. I show you how to use the Photoshop action, and it's grouped into chapters, so you could just jump to the chapter where I talk about the Photoshop pop art. You don't have to watch the entire thing if you're not interested in Character Animator. All right, so somebody said, can I please leave all the links I mentioned in the description? Yes, I will do that. I'm just trying to multitask here, read the chat stream, talk, and move, but I will do that. I'll leave it in the description after the stream. Head out to the description, you'll find all the links there. Okay, so I think I've run through all the questions that I can see here, but keep them coming while you send your oh, I jumped your comment. Somebody said I jumped their comment. Oh, love from Nigeria. Oh, you know what, I'm gonna highlight you there you go. Love from Nigeria, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Shout out to you. Somebody's also saying hi from India. Shout out to you from India. All right, so while you keep your comments coming, keep them coming, I am gonna show. Somebody was asking how to play an audio clip to play throughout the clip. Actually, okay, I'll show you this, but I show this also in details in my so I had the video that I did animating with in PowerPoint, the very first one. I showed you how to do that, but I'm gonna show you. It's very simple actually. So let me go back to share my screen right here. So if you go on here to PowerPoint, so I'm on PowerPoint, and I've gone to the top left here. I've gone to Insert, and then I am doing audio. Oops, audio is all the way on the other side, right here on the corner, audio. So audio from my PC, and I just have this audio of water pouring. It's not gonna like play throughout the scene, but let me zoom this out. So I have this audio clip right here, audio of water pouring. Let's see if I can zoom in here. So if you wanted to play across all the slides, so if this was a 10-minute audio right here, so it's under the playback option. So in case you don't see this, so if you clicked on this audio, oops, and you don't see it, just click on playback. Just click on play across slides, and it's that simple. It's gonna play across all your slides. And then what you want to do is also just make sure you check play in the background. So that's gonna make sure it plays in the background, and it's gonna play across the slides. It's that simple. It's really not that complicated to do. So that's how you would make an audio play across all your slides. And this way now, if I have several slides and I was going through this, the audio is just going to keep playing in the background and it doesn't stop. So let me go back out here and let's go back to the chat. Can I make animations like in the Frozen movie? The Frozen movie was a 3D animation. Now I do 3D animation, but again, my 3D animation, it's not that it's not literally my top strength. So I do some 3D animation. I do know how to model. I use some softwares, but I don't think that probably at that level yet that I'll create like a Frozen kind of movie using 3D animation. Of course, there are tools that make it easy to also do some of these things. And then Frozen is like at, you know, a very, 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 very top level in terms of when you look at the renders, like very realistically. But yes, I can create 3D animations to answer the question. So let's see. Can you ask me about Create Studio? Yeah, of course. Ask me about Create Studio. Ask me any question. It doesn't have to be about PowerPoint. If you have a question about any videos that I've created in the past, I'm happy to answer them. So just dump them down in the chat. Thank you, Lakers. Can I tell you about a software like Create Studio but free? I don't know any at the top of my head, but that would make for a good video to create for the year. So now that I'm planning out my videos for the year, I can put that in the list of videos. I can do some research and see what is out there that does that. I know there are a couple that lets you do like start for free, and then you need to pay to get some more features. So I'll look into that, but that could make for a good video for the year. So somebody's asking, what is the main difference between using softwares like Animaker and PowerPoint? So again, really, it's it really boils down to, if you ask me, just preference and what is your ease of use. So a software like Animaker would have pre-made templates that sometimes might box you in. Maybe you want to do something flexible. So one thing I like about PowerPoint is that it gives me the freedom to create whatever I want. So I start a story and I'm not really boxed into this template in case the template is not really there. I know these softwares also allow you to, you can import your backgrounds and do that. So it really boils down to your preference. Again, a software like Animaker would make it super easy for you to do some of these things. So it already has templates. It's easy to start with, whereas PowerPoint sort of have these learning curves that you might have to use to do this. But what I've discovered is that once you've figured out how to use PowerPoint to do some of these things, it becomes super easy to do these animations. And I feel like I'm able to create custom animations very quickly using PowerPoint. So that would be probably the difference. But again, some of these tools like Animaker, Create Studio, they're designed for these kinds of things. So like within a few minutes, you're able to do them really quick. But again, PowerPoint is there as another option. It's a software you already have, and it's an interesting way whereby if you wanted to do a live presentation with animations, then now you have the skills to do that. So like what I do most of the time is a lot of these skills that I've learned using PowerPoint to create animations. Whenever I'm doing my live presentations, like a PowerPoint slide, I add them in. So if you attend a training by me where I'm doing PowerPoint slide, you'll notice a lot of like animations and all of that. It almost feels like you're watching a video. So that's another benefit to doing that. What are the operating system requirements for Create Studio? I am not sure. I don't have that at the top of my head, but I know they have that in their website, so you can check that out. But it's not really, it's not that much. So somebody says, I love my background. Thank you very much. So I am, okay, I'm trying to read this here. So let's all read this together. It says, I showed how to go to the playback tab and click on the ribbon to click the live audio. Can you still put a separate audio on a different slide? Yes, you can. And they will play concurrently, and the other audio would play only when the second slide starts. So again, the only thing that you just have to make sure that they are rhyming with each other, right? So if I was playing music in the first slide and it's playing across, I don't want to start playing another music that clashes. So as long as they don't clash, it works. So somebody's asking about their voiceover is not clear. What can they do about that? The very first thing is get a good mic. I do not know where you're from, what country you're from. If you live in a place where like Amazon and the eBay likes are available, their mics, I mean, from like as cheap as like $20, you could get a mic, and it already boosts the audio quality of your audio. And then there's softwares like Audacity and softwares like Adobe Auditions. These help you process your audio to make them sound better. Probably one of these days this year, I might do a video tutorial on just how to improve your audio. So because a lot of the times when I record my audio, like what you hear, what you finally hear on YouTube is not the same thing the way it was recorded. I take it through some pre-processing just to give it some EQs and just to make it sound nicer. And there are a lot of times I've worked on projects where the audio I get is like really terrible. Then I have to take it to a software like Adobe Auditions to like clean it up and then EQ it to make it sound a whole lot better. Somebody's asking if I mentor young people on this. Yes, I do. I do mentor young people on this, the ones that are within my reach. So when I mean my reach, like, you know, I know them somehow. or they've come in contact with me somehow, I do that, and I do coach them. I do physical sort of like trainings and guidance and things like that. Yep, I do. So can I do a tutorial on how Adobe? Wait, I'm not sure I understand this. Something about Adobe Animate. I'm not sure. Could you repeat your question? Somebody said they make videos in PowerPoint, and okay, let me just put that up. They make videos in PowerPoint, and they would like me to look at them. The easiest way to do that, by the way, is on Instagram. I'm gonna put my Instagram in a few minutes here, and it's gonna be also in the description. On Instagram, just tag me. I've had a lot of people who used my tutorial to do things, and they tag me on Instagram, and I have watched pretty much all of them. I go look at them and I give my comment like, yo, great. So just tag me on Instagram. Let me know, hey, yo, I created this, check it out, and I will check it out. So some people send me YouTube links to their videos on Instagram, and I do check it out. So that's the best way to do that. And I'll put the handles for that in a second. Somebody's asking, what is the average amount to charge a client? Now that depends on a 3-minute animated advert. That's gonna depend on a lot of things, right? I don't know that there is a blanket price for just putting you know, like the 3-minute advert is like what, like, and just say like, I don't know, $5,000 or $100. It's gonna depend on a number of things. What is the complexity around what they're asking you to do? And the best way that I would advise you to go about your pricing is value yourself based on hourly rate. So look at yourself and say, okay, based on my skill level, based on all I've learned, how much do I want to be paid per hour? Is it $10? Is it $50? $150? $200? Whatever it is. So give your gauge per hour. And then when a client comes to you and say, I want, even it's a 10 seconds animation, how many hours is it going to take me to create this 10 seconds animation? It could be a 10 seconds animation, but what they're asking is so complicated that it's going to take me 20 hours to do. And then charge them based on that and not really based on the length of the animation. So so that's really how I go about this pricing thing. Just give yourself value yourself based on your hourly rate, and then per project. So I have done projects that are like 1 minute long that were more expensive than projects that were like 5 minutes long, because again, what the client required was not as complicated. So somebody says my videos are great. Thank you. All right. Can I do a tutorial on Adobe Animate? Sure. I'll put that on the list of pipelines. I'll check it out and see. I mean, I'm not promising. I'm not promising that I will, but I will look into it. So again, like I said, I'm planning out the videos for the year. I already have some things lined up for the year, and so I'm gonna try to put that in as one of the things that we do. So it's gonna boil down to seeing like what is the value in. So if I do a tutorial on Adobe Animate, what is the value in that compared to other softwares that I've done? And if I see the value in that, definitely I would do a tutorial in that. So one thing is that this year I really want to create a whole lot more videos. So I'm going to try to create a whole lot more videos this year. So that's one of the goals for this year. So if everything goes as planned, if I don't get caught up with other things that I have going on, you should expect to see much more videos. So keep those tutorial ideas coming, and definitely we would make them. And how are you guys liking these live sessions, by the way? If you guys think these live sessions are adding value, we could do more of these live sessions this year. So give it a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments that they're great, and definitely we will do more of these live sessions. Somebody says they love my background video. Can I tell them how to get YouTube background videos? Again, if you want to spend money on it, Envato Elements, I don't know. I don't know if there's something that has best value for money like Envato Elements, to be honest. Again, I promise to put a link to Envato Elements in the chats. Let me actually just go ahead and do that. In terms of value for money, if you're looking for free websites, there is a website called Pixabay. I'm going to put a link to that also in the description. So Pixabay is a good website. It's sort of my go-to. Before I started using Envato Elements, I used to use a lot of Pixabay. There was another one. I forgot the name of it. I'll put it in the description. There was another one too. But Pixabay is my first place. They're very good for pictures, but they have tons of videos too. So that's a free place. But right here, what I have in my backdrop is actually my studio. If that's what you're talking about, it's actually a physical studio. So it's actually not a background. So this is my studio in my basement at home. Yep. So somebody said it's the first time joining. It's really good. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Great training. All right. Thank you. And we will begin to start wrapping this up. Again, thank you so much for joining. If you have any more burning questions that you want me to answer, just drop them down in the comments before we close the tutorial, and I will make sure to answer those. But while you're doing that, let me go ahead and pull some of these links. There we go. So this is Adobe Envato Elements coming up in the chats right now. If there were any other things, I promised to put the links. Just let me know in the chats real quick, and I can grab that within this last few minutes of the chat. So this is Envato Elements. That's your link to that. Check them out. I don't know if they have a trial. I don't think they have a trial, but I mean, the value for money, to be honest, I don't know. I haven't seen any better. There are things like story blocks and all also that also help you with that, but I just think that Envato Elements, just, you know, the price point is good. I forgot what are the links. So Pixabay, let me put a link to Pixabay. I said I was gonna put a link to Pixabay. Let's dump that here in the chats. Pixabay, there we go. Pixabay, what else do we got? So just let me know. Yeah. So somebody says my studio. Yeah, my studio is my so that's my wall. So it's I have a gray wall, and I have some LED lights at the bottom that flashes by. And I'm actually gonna try to change it up a little bit this year. So you might start seeing it looking a little bit different in some of the newer videos that come up. How can we download these apps you're using? Because I'm having a big problem in downloading them. PowerPoint. I do not know. No. So the studio. So sorry. So the studio is something I designed it myself. I mean the wall was painted. I actually did the painting on the wall, painted it that gray, got some lights, put some of the frames that you have at the back. So when I say I want to redesign, switch things up a little bit, so I want to just switch up some of the looks. I'm going to redo some of the designs that we have there. So somebody's asking, without Adobe Illustrator, what other softwares can you use for free? You probably joined this stream a little bit late. I talked about Inkscape. Inkscape is a free software. And then I talked about a site called Cloud Converter. So if you do convert, I'm gonna just dump that in the chat. Convert EPS to CVG. Or actually, just go ahead and watch this stream. Once the stream is over, just watch out. Like I said, I'm gonna break it into chapters. So just watch the stream, the beginning part of it. You would see where I talked about this site right here, which I'm dumping right now in the chat. There you go. So that helps you. It's a website. You convert these things for free, and then you do everything else in PowerPoint. So let me just scroll through, read the chat, just make sure somebody says 10 thumbs up for the live stream. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and do more of these live streams. If there's anything like a different way you would want me to do these live streams, let me know. I appreciate your feedback. Just dump them in the chat. I'm gonna try to make them a whole lot more funner as we go along in the year. So let's go. Super helpful. And would you like the live streams? So for example, would you like the live streams to be tutorials? Would you like them to be just ask me anything? So I'm actually gonna put a poll right here. I'm creating a poll real quick. So there's a poll right now in the chat. So let me know. what do you prefer? Do you prefer this to be the Ask Me Anythings? Do you want them to be tutorials, or you like them both? So definitely let me know. Okay, so I think I have gone through most of the questions here. Somebody says super helpful. Thank you so much. Valuable. All right, great. All right, so the polls are coming. All right, so I'm getting your chat. Okay, so it seems like a lot of people, so it's kind of like a tie between the both Ask Me Anythings and tutorials. So we'll keep doing this live tutorials. That's great. There was a question about my PowerPoint export settings. So I just saw that. I forgot to answer that question. So I'm going to jump ahead and answer that real quick. And we'll be wrapping up this stream in a few minutes. So let me go back to my screen here. There is not really much that I do when it comes to my PowerPoint settings. So again, I just go to create video. It gives you different formats. So I do 4K because my videos are in 4K. So when it comes to, I don't know if this is clear enough. Yep. So when it comes to whether you want to use the recorded narration, so depending on if you had a narration recorded. So if you recorded your narration in PowerPoint, you would want to use the timing of that. So that way PowerPoint actually times all your slides to your narration timing, if that makes any sense. So the time on slide, so it gives 5 seconds. So again, I do not use, I leave this as default because most of the times I use transitions. So when I do a transition, I give it a duration, so that tells it how long it transitions. And then PowerPoint would typically also follow, if you've put animations on your slide, PowerPoint would typically follow, it will respect whatever, oops, sorry, let me just full screen this. So whatever animation timing you put here, it will respect this. So if I went ahead and deleted all of this, and this was just a still, oops, I did not delete it. So let me just delete this one more time. So if I went ahead and deleted all of this and this was a still image, so that is where this option here for how long you spend on a slide comes in handy. So it will stay 4 seconds on every slide before it moves to the next slide. But because we're already adding animations to our slide anyways, this doesn't matter. So there's not really much of options to do here in terms of exporting. It's just that. So that's what I use when I do my export. So let's jump back here to the chats. Just make sure I got everything up. So if there was any other question I didn't answer, please feel free to bump it up back in the comments and I'll be glad to answer that. Otherwise, this was fun hanging out with you guys. Happy New Year. If you haven't checked out the final video that I did, that we did a tutorial on today, check that out. You'd see the full animation. It was a full-blown animation. And then watch out for more animations. More tutorials from me this year. I got a lot of you have been requesting for me to do a tutorial on how to animate using mobile phones. So I'm working on that tutorial right now. That should be out either end of this month or probably next month. A really nice one. So I'm going to show you that. I'm going to be showing you guys how to do that this year. So, and I got tons of other like fun projects like coming up also that will be out. So thank you guys so much for joining in. I will just hang out in the chat for like 2 or more seconds and I will go out. And after the stream, again, I'm going to be in the chat. So if you still have anything else that you wanted me to answer that I didn't, just drop a comment on this video and I'll try my best to answer them. So let's see some of the final questions. So I'm going to answer 3 more questions and then we're going to break this out for today. So so it said I should create a paid mentorship program. All right, we'll see about that. That's a great idea. We'll see about that. I'll see what I can do about that. All right. So somebody's asking, yeah, is PowerPoint. PowerPoint is, they both have a free version and the paid version. Of course, if you download the software, it's paid, but they do have the free version online. And so one of the videos I'll probably create this year is how to create animations, these animations using the free PowerPoint. I have done this using Google Slides also, which is free. So I'll show you some of the tricks. It's limited, but I'll show you some of the tricks I use for that. So watch out for that video again. Lots coming up this year. Hopefully I'll get enough time to do all of that while I do other things that I have going on. Otherwise, thank you guys for joining in, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Drop a comment if you still have more questions, and I'll catch you guys in the next live session, probably next month. Thank you very much, and bye-bye. Peace.